righty. Welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. We got a pretty good episode for you today. We're going to talk about a recent commit, preferred walk-on, and then OU had a great weekend of hosting a camp with a bunch of 23, 24, and 25 kids that came out and competed, had a lot of visits and tours that OU gave out. Overall, a really good weekend, and also had some official visitors. So a lot of stuff to talk about. We might not get through everything just because we're trying to keep it 30 to 40 minutes, but we could go an hour, but some of you might not appreciate that. So we're trying to condense it down. Today we're going to be talking about, Chapman McCown, Caleb Hicks, DJ Lagway, Jalen Kilgore, Reed Mikeska. Those are going to be the five guys we're going to be talking about. But before we get into it, we just want to say we appreciate it. If you hadn't already, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell, board the two planes, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell, just get on the plane with us, join us, and then find us on our social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Apple, and Spotify. Everything's linked below. If you were following us on Twitter and Facebook, you would see that a lot of good stuff happened this weekend and more than what we're going to cover in here. So if you haven't already, go over there. Something that we're working on also is we're going to be doing it's like a membership type deal where it's going to be different levels that we're going to be able to offer you guys. We're planning over the next month to come out with that, where we might offer more badges, more live streams, more access to other stuff that we might not want to, post everywhere, or just more personal interactions and things like that. We're not totally sure exactly what it looks like yet, but we're planning to kind of roll that out maybe sometime in the middle of July, beginning the middle of July. So be sure to be looking out for that and let us know. This is kind of the beginning of the video challenge. I'm going to take Brandon's thunder a little bit, so we have a beginning and end of video challenge, but I'm just curious if you guys are interested. It might be a few bucks a month or something, like just to help us out and support the channel. What kind of content would you guys like? More live streams, more early video releases, or things like that. Just let us know what you think. Just some ideas. We're trying to get some things together. It's not going to be anything ridiculous, and if you don't want to subscribe to it or anything, no harm, no foul. It's just something that we're trying to offer people that might like to hear more of us. So we'll get into it now. OU today, this afternoon, landed a preferred walk-on, Chapman McCown, and it seems to be a little, I don't know, cloudy if he's a preferred walk-on or a scholarship player. He did an interview, or had some quotes on an article from Fan Nation. They talked about that he did a little interview with them saying that he is going to be a preferred walk-on this upcoming season, but that he will have some sort of a scholarship, and he's going to keep that private between him and Coach Venables. So I don't know exactly what his status is. It seems like he's a preferred walk-on, but maybe he's getting some sort of extra help, maybe more so than a preferred walk-on, because he had offers from like Air Force, Arizona, or Army, and a few other schools. He's originally from Norman, so Norman North. He's a talented kid. Last year as a sophomore, or I guess this was 2020 and 2019, he had about 1,000 yards rushing combined. He can also catch passes out of the backfield, has a few hundred yards. Someone that's extremely fast, shifty, depending on what site you look at. 247 has him about 5'8". This Fan Nation website had him at 5'6". I don't know. But, we were talking about Dylan Edwards, with his smaller stature and everything, being the next Deuce Vaughn. And while I'm not saying that Chapman McCown could be that, but he has the same build, and he's extremely fast and extremely shifty, and someone that might kind of be filling that Dylan Edwards role if you just won't pull the trigger, as we talked about. I think it was Friday's episode, or maybe it was last Wednesday's, but Dylan Edwards just, I don't know. It's been an up and down recruitment. Jose, what do you think about Chapman and the implications of his walk-on or scholarship commitment?
Yeah, I think on 24/7, they also have him listed as a walk-on. So who knows what the scholarship that he's talking about is, but officially he's a walk-on. The first thought I had whenever I saw his stature and watched a little bit of his highlights is he's probably going to be very like a gadget guy if he gets on the field, because of the size. And like you said, he's super fast and shifty. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him in the kick returning game. With the speed he has and the agility that he possesses, it wouldn't surprise me. He's just it's kind of surprising that even as a preferred walk-on, this offense was willing to take a chance with him, because it seems like overall they're looking for much bigger athletes. And I mean, he doesn't fit the bill with his size, but that doesn't mean he can't be a good football player. I don't know if he'll be in the. I honestly, I was kind of thinking if they'll try to develop him as a slot receiver, or a guy that can at least has some receiving abilities so that they can move him around. Maybe kind of like a Tyreek Hill when he was in Kansas City. Who knows how they're going to use him in Miami? Probably the same, but where a guy's running around a lot in motion, just trying to help Dylan Gabriel or whoever the quarterback is at the time get an idea of what the defense is doing. I could see that, but I'm glad he got to stay in Oklahoma. Clearly this coaching staff is doing what they have highlighted since Venables got hired, which is keeping in-state talent in Norman. So I feel like that's a win for the Sooners in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with a lot of stuff Ho said. I think it's going to be tough for him, just because of that size and stuff, to really get solid playing time here. And I'm going to also go to special teams, where he's going to have to earn it. I would have the same thing about Gavin Freeman. I think they're very similar in that regard. Is their path to the field, to me at least, starts with special teams. But I love that he's a Norman North kid coming to OU. I feel like it's going to mean more to him. He's playing right in his backyard. Like they like that kind of stuff. I like that kind of stuff. And there have been some really, really good running backs at that 5'6", 5'8" range. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. You have your Darren Sproles of the world, your Maurice Jones-Drews of the world. Granted, those guys are really, really good. So I'm not at all saying he's going to be that yet, but they're the blueprint that it can be done. I think it's going to be an uphill battle, but talented kid, homegrown kid. I like that. I'm sure he'll come in and work his ass off too, because I'm sure if he's originally from Norman his whole life, he probably has wanted to be a Sooner since he was 4 or 5 years old. So he's going to do everything he can to get on the field, and he'll play hard, and you got to love that.
Yeah, I'll actually say, according to this fan-sided website, the quote that they got from him, he said he actually grew up an Oklahoma State fan.
Well, never mind. He decided he wanted to win once he got older, I guess, is what happened.
Yeah, he said that that Venables called him really early once he took the job, then immediately just bought into the program. I don't know whether that's true or not. I mean, obviously he bought into the program, but that's according to the website I just read a quick article on. So I guess we'll see. I agree. I just don't know where he really gets on the field. Maybe long-term and maybe special teams. I guess we'll just keep an eye on him.
It'll also kind of depend on where this running back class ends up. Because right now, if we were anywhere close to being right about where this running back recruitment is trending, it seems like maybe Dylan Edwards, like Brum said, who knows with that guy right now. It is a lot of up and down. And it seems like Dalen Smothers, I think that's the guy's name. He seems to be trending towards Oklahoma. I know it's a long shot for Richard Young, but he visited. That's got to be where we've got to be in the conversation at least a little bit, along with bringing his uncle Chop to Norman, which is the highlight there, of course. So, I mean, if the class doesn't go as it's projected to be, right, with at least one of the 3 guys, then maybe he's got more opportunity. But even that, you still have the transfer portal that he'd have to worry about.
Yeah. And someone to talk about the running back situation is another guy is Caleb Hicks, who took his official visit to OU this weekend, 5'11", 195 pounds, out of Denton, Texas. He goes to Ryan High School. OU's been recruiting that school in that area heavily. He's a 2023 4-star, number 366 overall, number 24 running back in the class. Last year, he ended up having 216 carries for 1,448 yards and 18 touchdowns. He recently released his top 5 last week. He put OU, Alabama, Arkansas, Miami, and TCU into his top 5. And I also noticed that Brandon Drum from 247, I think Parker Thune as well, I know at least one of them, I think both of them have entered in crystal balls in favor of Oklahoma with a score of 6 after his recent visit. Also Jackson Arnold was on campus because he was camping and working out with Coach Levy, and he took advantage of that to recruit Caleb Hicks, and also someone that we're not going to talk about right on this episode. I will probably talk about on Wednesday is Cole Adams, but Jackson Arnold was recruiting these two guys, Adams and Hicks, heavily. It seems like OU's moving in the right direction with Hicks, and it might end up being with Caleb Hicks and Dalen Smothers might be their two scholarship running backs in this class, and Dylan Edwards might be playing around with the Sooners, visiting other schools. I see he's going to Kansas State, and then I think he's going to Missouri towards the end of this month. And Smothers hop on board here pretty quick, Dylan Edwards might be left out in the cold. I think there's only two scholarship running backs available in this class. Brandon, what do you think?
Well, that's the risk that Dylan Edwards runs if he keeps in. I'm not at all trying to suggest that I'm saying he should pull the trigger, or like, obviously, I would say long to be a Sooner, but like, if you drag out your recruitment process, that is the risk you run. If we can find two scholarship running backs who want to commit sooner, or if they decide before he does that they want to be at Oklahoma, then he's kind of just left out in the rain. But again, it's his recruitment process. He's got to do what he feels right, take the time, do whatever. Caleb Hicks is more of the guy you think of when you think of a college running back in Oklahoma Sooner. He's right around that 6 foot, 200 pounds, which he's already, he's bigger than McCown. He's more of the prototypical college football running back, I think. He's got that. He's averaging about 7 yards a carry, which is my favorite stat for a running back. That's very, very efficient. 18 touchdowns, as you mentioned. Good speed. He's also stamped, which that means something to me too. I also agree with you on if Hicks and I don't know. I think Hicks would be a good get. I like where Oklahoma sits with him. Thune and Drum crystal balling at a level 6 is a pretty good sign. Let's hope it works out for us.
Big Hicks fan. I was watching his highlights before we started recording. He's really hard to bring down. It seems like he broke every single, at least the first and second attempt, he was getting out of those really easily. It clearly gets a little harder once you start getting a pile of 2 or 3 guys trying to bring you down. But the fact that is the issue, and at the high school level, like, he's a big guy or is at least very powerful and can drive his legs, which is key. You don't want a running back that's just going to stop his momentum when there's any sign of danger near him. So I think that's big time, but he also has speed. He's not just a bulldozer. So having a guy like this would be, I think him and Smothers actually have very similar games. They're physical, but have the agility and the speed to go downhill and just absolutely toast the defense, especially once they get past the front line. So I think honestly, I would be much more excited. I'm much more excited about the prospect of getting Hicks and Smothers, that combo. Not that I don't think Dylan Edwards is good, because as we've talked about multiple times on this show, he puts up video game numbers at the high school level. At this point, like you guys both said, it's just the risk he's running. And if he's not ready to be committed, that's completely fine. That's what Venables preaches. If you're not ready to be committed to any school, don't make that commitment. And he's taking his time. That's his right that he's earned from the hard work he's put in at the high school level. So, maybe we'll hear something from him soon. But yeah, I mean, if we get Hicks and Smothers, I don't think we would even need a third running back, with the addition of Chapman. And then we would have Gavin, and from this class, Javonte from this class. Like, that group of 5 is scary. I don't think we've had a group that talented at the running back room in a long time, probably since, Joe and P. Ryan were there, along with Rodney. And who else was in that backfield? I can't think of them right now, but like, those 3 were in the room together at some point. And I think that's the last time we had a room that was nearly potentially that talented.
Yeah. And another thing that speaks volumes or kind of has implications down the road is Caleb Hicks plays at Ryan High School in Denton, Texas. Ryan High School, just recent memory, Billy Bowman. In this 23 class, not only is Caleb Hicks coming out of there, Anthony Hill Jr., 5-star. There's a lot of talent at Ryan High School that, while Anthony Hill, in my opinion, is an A&M lean, a lot of things can change between now and then. Obviously, if they have a mediocre season and OU continues to recruit him well, I think OU's up in his recruitment. It's just I don't know where he's at. Maybe if Hicks commits and A&M struggles, could Hicks recruit Anthony Hill to Oklahoma? Maybe. But if not, I mean, Ryan High School is going to keep putting out great talent in the 24 class and the 25 class, and to keep getting one or two guys out of Ryan High School, I think helps significantly. And Billy Bowman can recruit Hicks, can recruit Anthony Hill. I mean, all these guys know each other, and you get one or two out of their high school every year or every other year. It helps that connection form. So like a pipeline, basically.
Quick side note: did you guys see the picture of Anthony Hill and Richard Young? I think it was Caden Proctor and Arch Manning at Alabama.
Yeah.
It'd be scary if those four just decided to go to Bama. Like, they're the best in their position, and they're in their class, all going to one place. That would be insane. But just wanted to throw that quick comment out there.
It's not far-fetched.
It wouldn't.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not fair. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. Guardrails.
I don't think Arch Manning goes there because they got that Eli Holstein kid. It was just one of his already playing. But I mean, if he does, then Alabama just got 2 top 10 quarterbacks in one class and is getting number ones at 3 other positions.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up happening. Not that I think so, but out of those guys, I think Richard Young is a for sure going to Bama. I mean, it just seems like a lock. I hope I have to eat crow. I hope Richard Young's a Sooner, but I mean, I just don't see it. So, all right. So we'll move on. So I'm going to guess that Caleb Hicks, and I have no reason to believe, nothing that I've read. I bet Hicks is a Sooner, announces commitment over the next month or so. And a quick side note, and this is someone that just came to my mind that we're not going to talk too much about, and we're kind of going all over the place, is Caden Green, 2023 4-star offensive tackle out of Lee Summit, Missouri. He visited OU last weekend for the Champion Barbecue. He was scheduled to go to LSU for an official, and it didn't happen.
That's good news.
Very good news.
We like that.
He's announcing his commitment July 8th. It seems like OU's in the driver's seat there. So, not only do I think Caleb Hicks could be a Sooner soon, Caden Green could be a Sooner very quickly. A lot of good things are rolling OU's way. All right. So another good guy, another talented guy that was on campus this weekend is DJ Lagway. And I think this is going to be someone we're going to really start to talk about over the next year in his recruitment. It's just starting to heat up. The 24 class is really just starting to get going as they're finally ranked at 247 and other websites. DJ Lagway, 2024 5-star quarterback, number 12 overall, number 3 quarterback in the class, 6'2", 215 pounds, out of Willis, Texas. He came up this weekend for another unofficial. I believe this is his second unofficial with the Sooners. Just checking in. He's been going around, according to his Twitter. That's kind of what we've been keeping up with. He's been visiting various other schools. It looks like he's just making the tour all unofficially on his family-owned dime to see where he's going to fit in. I think OU has a legitimate shot with DJ Lagway. I think there's something. He's coming back. He already came back for a second visit. I think he's going to come back again probably here pretty soon. We talk about follow the visits. If you start to see him come back for a 3rd or 4th time this fall, and he's a 24 guy, I think OU is going to be right there at the end in his top 3, top 4, top 5. If you have Dylan Gabriel and Levy's system excelling and putting up tons of points, he's a dual threat guy. And I think we've talked about him before on here where we were talking about how well the read option. I don't know if that was you, Jose, or Brandon. I can't remember who said that. But this is a guy that would excel in Levy's system. Jose, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it was Brandon might have brought it up, but I know whenever we talked about him last time was because of the RPO, how heavy Levy runs RPOs. But yeah, I mean, I want Levy, Venables, and Valai just to be constantly communicating with this kid, because Levy would be his coach, his position coach, and the OC. Venables, just the energy. He's the head coach. Clearly, he's got to be part of the team there to recruit a 5-star quarterback. And then Valai, at this point, I trust him 100% with being a lead recruiter for any position. That guy just seems to be able to make a connection with these kids, which is amazing, because no matter the position, we need someone that's able to connect with them. So yeah, I mean, it would be big time. I think there's going to be a lot of competition for him. It seems like he might be probably the last coveted 2024 quarterback left by freaking November. The Dylan Riola, I don't remember how to pronounce his name, but the 5-star quarterback in 2024 is already committed to Ohio State this weekend. CJ Carr, I think he's like a fringe 5-star quarterback. He might be 4-star right now, committed to Notre Dame. There's only so many highly talented quarterbacks, and DJ might be one of the last ones. So making sure that he continues to visit. I hope he can make it to like the Nebraska game, or maybe not the Nebraska game. Sorry, but would be the first in-conference game would probably be a big time for him to try to make it to. If they can fly him to the Nebraska game, let's get him there. I mean, I think that if he can make it to a game or two, that'd be big. But there's so much competition, I think, and I know Brandon's probably going to hate me for saying this, but Lincoln Riley has targeted him as his quarterback for 2024. And we know that when Lincoln puts his head down to try to get a quarterback, most of the time it works out for him. I think Brock Vandagriff was the last time that he lost one, that he legitimately lost a quarterback, but he had Caleb Williams just waiting to get a scholarship because he was going to be a walk-on anyway. So, I mean, it's got to be a little intimidating, but Levy's got to prove that his offense can work at Oklahoma. And again, be a heavy, like, focused on communicating, making sure he can get him on campus along with Valai and Venables.
Yeah, also, if Southern Cal goes out there and lays some eggs and doesn't look as good as he did at Oklahoma, because the talent around him is not as good as he had at OU. The offensive line is not as good as he had at OU. If Caleb Williams struggles a little bit and USC sucks, he might not want to. I think we might start to realize that maybe he's not this quarterback whispering god that he's talked up to be. But with DJ Lagway, he's exciting to me. He's, as you mentioned, Brum, a dual threat. As a sophomore, he passed for about 1,700 yards, 17 touchdowns. But he also rushes about 715 and 6 touchdowns. But so that's obviously, those are great numbers. But the impressive thing to me is, as a sophomore starter, he only threw 2 interceptions. So obviously he makes smart decisions with the ball. He's not just throwing the ball into triple, quadruple coverage as some young quarterbacks do when they're learning how to play the game, or maybe trust their arm too much. So clearly he's a very good decision maker, dual threat, dual athlete, plays basketball too. I'd love to get him. So like, I was thinking about this when you guys were talking, and just the possibility. Say he commits to Oklahoma. That quarterback room, and you mentioned it, was just the competition, it's going to be ridiculous after Dylan Gabriel leaves. I like to think that Jackson Arnold is the starter after Dylan Gabriel. I think Jackson Arnold's going to be pretty damn good, but that's going to be a legitimate competition between Lagway, Evers, and Arnold. In the post Dylan Gabriel era. What do you guys think of that?
A lot of talent. I mean, way more talent than, there was a time where everyone's like, well, Lincoln Riley left. Oh, you can't get a 5-star quarterback. Well, the first recruiting cycle that Venables and Levy have, like a full recruiting cycle, who do they get? They get a 5-star quarterback. And like that whole philosophy of Riley, where it was every other year for a 5-star quarterback, Levy's not going to be that way. He's taking one every single year if he can get one every single year. There's a lot of talent. Evers will, have a few years in the system. He'll look good. Jackson Arnold's there. DJ Lagway, I'd like to think that DJ would come in redshirt. It would truly be a competition between Evers and Arnold. But we've seen true freshmen, just like this last year, come in and start. So, I mean, anything goes in my mind. I just think whoever starts and whoever's not the backup, whoever's the third string guy, probably hits the portal.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It would be insane. Like that again. I think the something that we're gonna see as fans over the next 2 or 3 years is how deep every single position is gonna get. Like we just talked about the running backs and how deep that room is gonna be potentially after this year. That quarterback room, if DJ does come in, and even if DJ doesn't, but assuming he does, it would be 4-star Nick Evers, 5-star Jackson Arnold, 5-star DJ Lagway. That again would be the best quarterback room that we've had since Baker and Kyler were in the same room, and we know how that turned out. 2 Heisman back to back, and then the offensive line. It seems like this year we were going to get potentially Caden Green, maybe Peyton Kirkland, 2 amazing tackles. We've already got Bates at center, and then we're going to surround and make sure that we got 2 4-star plus guards in one class. Like this offense is going to get a complete makeover over the next 2-3 years at the positions, just with the size and the depth. And then we all know what the defense is looking to be in the 2024 class. That defensive line can be absolutely scary in 2 or 3 years. The DBs are getting so much bigger and faster. The linebackers went from being probably the weakest room that we have to starting to get close to one of the deeper rooms that we have, just with the talent that they seem to be, that we already have, plus what's being recruited. Like, it would be insane. This team is going to be very different in the next 2 or 3 years with how things look to be working out for the Sooners. We just hopefully everything, just the stars align and we start getting those people. And I think DJ is wherever he commits, is going to be a big influence on how that offensive recruiting is going to go. Seems like he's got a lot of attention right now with the media, which always helps with getting some players out of it, especially receivers.
And it always is good to land a 5-star quarterback early in the recruiting cycle so they can recruit their friends and future teammates and who they want on the team as well. And that's why you saw Jackson Arnold hop on board here quickly. Speaking of 2024 quarterbacks, OU hosted for a camp and unofficial visit and offered him a scholarship is Michael Van Buren. He's a 2024 4-star quarterback, number 11 quarterback in the class from Baltimore, Maryland. There's a few scholarships that have been given out for quarterback positions. I forget. I think there's 1 or 2 more that it's just not coming to my mind, but it's going to be the whole deal of whoever commits first. It's not we pick one and that's all we care about. It's we think you're all good and you can all play for us, and whoever wants to hop on board needs to hop on now. So someone to keep an eye on for sure. And hopefully we get him back on campus, I don't know, in the next month or 2. I hope he's going to keep traveling. I know he came from Clemson and he went to Georgia, so he's been going to all the big schools. So obviously come back for your second visit. It looks pretty good. So this next section is not going to be the most uplifting or, positive. Sometimes we got to be a little real and not so biased at times. There's a couple guys we want to talk about. The first guy we're going to talk about is Jalen Kilgore. He's a 2023 kid, 6'2", 195-pound safety, number 422 overall, number 42 safety in the class. But he's from Eatonton, Georgia. He visited OU for the Champion Barbecue. This past weekend, he went and saw Shane Beamer out in South Carolina. So that was, his most recent visit. He came out with this evening or this afternoon saying that he will be announcing his commitment June 15th, which is Wednesday. So in a couple days, as you guys are watching this, I think it's going to be South Carolina. And people will be like, well, he's a 3-star. It's fine. And I get that. But I mean, the kid's 6'2", basically 200 pounds. He is very versatile. And while OU has some really good safety targets that are in a good spot for, like McCarty Vickers comes to my mind.
Tyler Turner.
Yeah, Tyler Turner. This one, it hurts a little bit. And I think what this is going to come down to, and the reason why OU is going to lose out, is just because, like we've talked about, recruiting is a year or 2 long process with these kids, even 3 years with some kids. I mean, 2025 kids are already forming relationships with the coaching staff right now. This staff was all over the country, different schools for the most part. And the one constant that's been there for a few years is Beamer's staff. And they're not far. I think Jose said that he's been on campus at South Carolina for 4 times now. He's been to OU twice, once unofficially, one officially. As we always say on this podcast, follow the visits, 4-2, longer relationship. It just seems to be South Carolina. Brandon, do you have any thoughts on that? Disagreement, agreement? What do you think?
No, like we talked about before, I mean, I agree. So it's looking South Carolina lean, but I think as you talked about there, it's just the recruitment process of Tyler Turner and Makari Vickers just become that much more important now, because you're likely losing out in Kilgore here. So instead of you kind of got to just turn the page real quick and move right to Vickers and right to Tyler Turner, who I think are both pretty damn good players too. Just move on to the next one if it doesn't go our way, because we could always be surprised on Wednesday on the 15th when if he decides OU. Crazier shit has happened in sports, but like it doesn't look that way.
Yeah, and the visits, big sign, like Brum's been saying, and how we've said it throughout this show's existence. But proximity is also something that we talk about, and he's significantly closer to South Carolina than he is Oklahoma. And I think that also kind of just played against Oklahoma in this case. Some kids don't mind and are wanting to make that journey to a completely different culture, a completely different place in the country. He just wanted to maybe staying a little bit closer to home, where it is a simple road trip to if he ever wants to visit family or family wants to visit him. So, I mean, it happens. This one just one that OU's not going to win, but there's going to be plenty of that OU does win, because there's a kid that wants to stay a little bit closer to home for normal road trips being available to visit family or family visiting him. And it's not like he's going to a terrible team. I mean, they're definitely not great right now, but it seems like Beamer's at least creating a competitor in that division of the SEC. Who knows how long it'll be until they're knocking on the door of competing for an SEC championship, and it might get a little harder when Oklahoma makes that transition. So I mean, good for them, but Kilgore's just it's unfortunate we couldn't secure it. But like you guys said, now it makes Vickers and Tyler Turner that much more important to secure over the next couple of months.
And then there's someone that OU's had on campus a few times now, another safety. They're not really pressing overly hard for him right now is Musa Kane. He's from Blairstown, New Jersey. He's another 3-star. I see it if Tyler Turner commits elsewhere, commits to Oregon, because it's between OU and Oregon. You got Kilgore going to South Carolina. If that both of those things happen, you'll see Musa Kane become that much more of a priority. I just feel like they're waiting and seeing what they can get out of Tyler Turner and Vickers now. So the last guy we're going to talk about, and this is someone that I think we're going to have to eat our words on, and we were really, really confident with him, Reed Mikeska. Mikeska, he's a 6'6", 233-pound tight end from Cypress, Texas. While he is only a composite 3-star, according to 247, he does own like 46 offers right now. He was once committed to Clemson for about a month, and then he decommitted right before his visit up to Oklahoma. And he had his official visit with Oklahoma for the Champion Barbecue. He also came up prior to that for an unofficial visit. And then this past weekend, he went to Miami, and there's been a crystal ball that's been logged for him by a Miami insider to Miami. And basically, to sum up the recruitment and his visit, he's no longer planning to go visit Florida next weekend. He's basically kind of come out and said that Florida or Miami is tight in you. You think of Jimmy Graham and a few others. It seems like that OU, they were the heavy favorites. It seemed like crystal balls came in for him. Great visits. Venables was working on him hard, and Joe John Finley. But while this could be a post-visit high, and this might, granted, early national signing day is still 6 months away. I mean, we've already seen this kid commit and decommit after a month being committed. Not saying this is totally over, but it seems like it's trending heavily towards Miami, and then the insider has said it's Miami. So with him, if he doesn't end up taking his official visit to Florida, that screams to me that he's going to go to Miami. But I don't know, Brandon, what do you think?
This one, yeah, it definitely looks like a Miami lean. And Reed Mike's is a guy that we were all excited about. We fell in love with his tape because he's not just a threat in terms of receiving the ball, but he's got some very, very good highlights of him blocking, throwing kids 8-10 yards back off the line. I think he will be a huge addition to anywhere he goes. Obviously, I still hope it's Oklahoma. 6'6", he's huge. I mean, like, he's got everything you want in a tight end, and there's a reason he has more offers than any tight end in the country. Like, forget about the 3-star whatever composite. These college coaches that are offering him know a little bit more sometimes than these star rankings. So it's unfortunate news the way it's trending right now. But I mean, again, Miami is a very, very fun place. Beaches. There's a lot of stuff going on there. It's fun. It's warm. It's hot. There's a lot of stuff going on. So it could, and hopefully it is just a post visit high. Like, it's a fun place to be. There's no doubt about it. I hope that as it plays out in this process, maybe we get back into the mix and start feeling good about it again. Because I think Reed Mike's would be a very huge. You can't really call it a loss because technically he was never committed, but it kind of feels like a loss the way that we had felt about this process to now where you sit right now.
This one hurts. I desperately need it to be a post-visit high. I think he's just so talented. Like, this is, like you guys both said, fuck the stars on this guy. He's much more talented than the 3-star. He's got, I think it's just the way he's used in high school, which happens a lot to tight ends, unless you're like a big agile guy that pretty much plays, slot or wide receiver, but is so big that you're being recruited as a tight end. You're not going to get a lot of numbers out there where coaches can just look at the stats and, a few minutes tape and say, yeah, this guy's going to be a good receiving tight end for me. Like, you kind of got to know what you want out of a tight end. And Brandon said it, like, he's got the hands to be a receiver, and he's got the physicality to be a good blocker. He's what you want in a tight end. And if Cristobal beat Oklahoma for him, it would be so sad. But it's maybe, in a year after he realizes that bus trip from campus to the field sucks, he'll make it over to Norman, because it does seem like it was a race between Miami and Oklahoma to secure his commitment, because he did visit both schools twice before he's, committing sometime soon. Maybe, and you also said, I don't know if you just said it or earlier before we started recording, he's going to go back, digest everything with his family and figure out what the best decision is for him. Maybe his family slaps the shit out of him and says, go to Oklahoma because it's a little closer. And you don't want to take that bus trip from campus to Hard Rock every Saturday.
I was going to mention that, like, we do talk about proximity and how it does help in recruiting a lot. And this one, the one kid that we're super, super excited about, the proximity does not appear to be helping here. And that's an unfortunate situation. But as Jose just said, maybe he'll get back home and his parents will be like, hey, we don't want to fly to Miami every Saturday when we can just take a couple-hour car ride. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. And crazier things have happened. At one point, it seemed like Gentry Williams was going to go be a part of USC, and then it was a post-visit high, and he came back to reality, and he thought through his thoughts and realized that he should have been a Sooner, and that's what he was. So that could be it, but it just seems like if he doesn't take that Florida visit, that's basically all I need to know. And I still think that Venables and his staff will recruit him regardless if he's committed or not, because they've seen him decommit once before. It doesn't, who's to say that he couldn't do it again between now and December? That's 6 months away. I guess the final thing I want to say is how about those Sooners today going to Omaha?
I was going to mention that.
Man, that game was something else. 11-2. They got great pitching. They've got their bats are rolling right now. And right now, this side of the bracket that OU's looking to be on, and Texas is playing right now. I think it was 4-1 the last time I checked. Texas was up. That's the winnable side of the bracket to make it to the World Series, to the championship game. I think OU legitimately could win a national championship, and it would be incredible to do so.
Diamond Sports School.
The Diamond Sports School. Yeah, there's something about those softball teams in Oklahoma, Division I, Division II, NIA. It's rolling well. So we'll see. It's Friday, I think. First pitch in Omaha is Friday, the 17th, I think it is. So we'll see when OU actually plays, but we're going to be keeping up with that. Brandon, do you have your individual challenge for the people?
Yeah, I actually thought about this one last night. So last night I was on a float trip, ended up going to a concert afterwards. We went to Flatland Calvary. And I was about 12, 13, 14, somewhere beers deep. I had a bunch of cold ones with the squad. We were about to watch the concert, it was about to start, and I was like, man, what was my first concert ever? And it was the Jonas Brothers. In seventh grade, I came back from school one day, and my mom bought 4 tickets, and we just didn't have a choice. Me, my brother Justin, Grace, my sister, who at the time was very young, but a huge Jonas Brothers girl, and my mom. We had to go. We just went. So I was thinking about music, and the beer was flowing. And I was like, my first concert was the Jonas Brothers. I wonder what our Two Planes audience. Like, I knew it right away. That was the end. That was the end of the video challenge. Was, what was your first concert ever? And it came to me last night after floating and after the cold beers.
Yeah, I honestly can't even think of what my first concert was. I just can't.
Mine was a Disney Channel one. They had like the Cheetah Girls, the Jonas Brothers might have been there, Hannah Montana was there. In a similar situation, I didn't really have a choice. My sister really wanted to go, and my mom wasn't going to leave me at home alone because Dad probably had to work or something. So it's pretty much get fucked, kid. You're going.
That's how it played out. Yeah, it'd be like that. But I mean, looking back, I kind of wish that I wasn't too tough in 7th grade to act like I didn't like the Jonas Brothers, because the Jonas Brothers have some bangers. I think I would be more appreciative of a Jonas Brothers concert now versus back then.
True. So made it this far. This is one of our longest videos in a long time. Made it this far. You might as well subscribe if you hadn't already. I imagine most of the people that are watching right now probably are subscribed, but if you're not, just hit the button, turn the notification bell. Let us know what your first concert was. Let us know what you think about all these other kids and the potential membership deal that we're going to be rolling out for the Two Planes sports. And just let us know what you'd like to see on there, and we will catch you guys on Wednesday. We're going to have a lot more recruitment talk. We're getting close. So we're only 80 something days from kickoff. We'll see you guys Wednesday.